During the Cold War, military technology advanced quite quickly. The following decades would push technology to its limits, inspiring innumerable attempts to develop the next great piece of military hardware, riding the military technology boom of World War II. While many initiatives were effective and built around a rational aim, others were little more than experiments meant to support an idea that wasn't fully grounded in reality. Hello there. We hope you have liked, shared, and subscribed to Curious Media. Today, we will be telling you about craziest Soviet machines you won't believe exist. These machines are often produced in a veil of secrecy, shielding their most recent innovations from the prying eyes of rival militaries vying for military resources. But as soon as the concealment was lifted, it became clear how peculiar some of these studies were. While many classified vehicles that came from Western countries were outright bizarre, the Soviet Union produced bizarre military vehicles in larger quantities and with higher quality. So let's check out the craziest Soviet machines you won't believe exist. Number 1. Lun-class Ekranoplan. Flying boats have been in use since their invention in 1910. Therefore, they are nothing new. However, the Ekranoplan was a novel concept that would have altered the definition of a flying boat. These monsters, exploiting a cushion of air on top of the water, exploited the ground effect to fly at low altitudes across bodies of water with the intention of intercepting approaching aircraft carriers and sending them into the depths with their Moscow missiles. Number 2. Kalinin K-7. Today, enormous aircraft with wingspans of hundreds of feet are typical. If you glance up, you'll likely see an airliner flying overhead that is larger than a Kalinin K-7. However, this monstrosity, which was created in the early 1930s, is an incredible feat of engineering. It was the largest aircraft in the world, with a wingspan of more than 170 feet at the time, and was capable of heavy bombing and troop transport. Unfortunately, it was simply too complex and had too many issues with the available technology. When the only K-7 build crashed while being tested, the program came to an end. Number 3. Ilyushin Il-40 Brony. The Ilyushin Il-2 became legendary as a tough and potent ground attack aircraft during World War II. A jet-powered successor to the renowned flying tank, looked inevitable at the start of the war as new jet technology swept the globe. The Il-40, which had 6 enormously potent 23mm guns, first appeared like a fantastic idea, but the program was scrapped when the cannons began stalling the engines when fired. Number 4. Yakolev Yak-36 Freehand. While the Ekranoplan failed to modernize flying boats, the Yak-36 made an attempt to do so by incorporating vertical takeoff and landing (VTOL) capabilities into fighter jets in 1956. In actuality, it was a failure that opened the door for a number of more failed initiatives, none of which reached completion. One particularly alarming feature of the Yak-36 was that it would instantly turn over and crash if one of its 2 jet engines stalled while hovering. Simply put, the technology wasn't ready to be a reality in the 1950s. Number 5. ZVM-2901 Shnikakot. The ZVM-2901 was created from a UAZ truck as one of the most distinctive all-terrain vehicles ever created as a component of a series of screw-propelled machines the Soviet Union tested with. Although the idea was never realized, it did function as intended. Particularly the ZVM-2901 languished abandoned until a group of Russian engineers brought it back to its former splendor for all to behold. Number 6. Mikoyan Gurevich MiG-105. This is a spacecraft, not a combat jet. It was designed to be fired like a missile from a high-altitude Tu-95 bomber, and it would then be propelled into orbit using a combination of jet and rocket engines. The 8th and last test resulted in a rough landing, rendering the spaceplane useless after a number of experiments were carried out in the atmosphere. The MiG-105 was ultimately scrapped in favor of the Buran Energia space shuttle, never making it into orbit. Number 7. Object 934 Volgograd River Monster. An amphibious tank was intended for and produced with Object 934. Object 934, which was capable of 6 mph in the water, failed, and all production orders were cancelled. However, the PT-76 multipurpose tank succeeded in performing the same function and has since honorably served 25 nations. Number 8. Sukhoi T-4 Sokka. The Sukhoi T-4 was an unsuccessful attempt to rival the American creation of a Mach 3 nuclear bomber, bearing a strong resemblance to the American XB-70 Valkyrie. Despite being shorter and having a distinct cockpit layout, the T-4 isn't a direct copy. However, it failed, just like the XB-70 Valkyrie, since it was too difficult to fly and too expensive compared to the value it provided. Fortunately for aviation aficionados, the Menino Air Museum still has the solitary T-4 prototype on exhibit. Number 9. Kamov Ka-22 Vintokril. While many Soviet aircraft have a truly bizarre appearance, this giant wins the prize for the wackiest aircraft. When it initially took to the air in 1960, despite its comical appearance, it smashed several world records, including those for rotorcraft maximum speed and payload capacities. However, the Ka-22 was simply too complicated, and after the prototype helicopters crashed while being tested, it was replaced by the more traditional Mi-6 Hook helicopter. So what's your take on these weapon machines? Comment below. And for all things amusingly mind-scratching, like, share, and subscribe to Curious Media.